We're on the move. Rhythm and Rome got nothing to lose. Culture clash from coast to coast. Misconceptions, we chasing ghosts.
Hey, welcome again to another episode of Rhythm in Rome. Today we have our special guest is Rosamaria, and she has a very interesting story and it's very relatable to what all three of us have been through with our travels and living abroad in several different locations. So I am very excited to hear and discuss a little bit more with Rosamaria. So let's get to it. What we like to do is we like to, before we get into the meat of our interview, and I don't want to call it an interview, but our talk and discussion is kind of like start off with some icebreaker. We did it just on top of your head of what it is that comes to your mind kind of thing, and we'll go from there. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So let's shoot for the first one. So Rosamaria, if you could have any superpower in the world, right? What would it be and why?
What would it be? I'm sorry, you broke up a second.
And why? Yeah.
My superpower would be that I could instantly get to New York to see my family without having to travel
perfect.
and deal with jet lag or anything like that. So that would be my superpower, to just get to New York whenever I wanted to, and then when I want to come home.
Yeah, so what are those like Beam Me Up, Scotty? What the heck are those things called? Star Trek, anybody? Transport. What is it called? Okay.
Transporters. Yeah, transporters. That's cool.
Yes, I too would like one of those.
So just one more question.
Mm-hmm.
What are three things you always pack when you on any trip that you usually take? Like the three things that you normally would pack.
Three things: a good book.
Yeah.
Tylenol, some kind of medicine for my kids in case they don't feel good. And then Tylenol for me too. And then the third thing, oh my God. I mean, I need water because I'm a little bit of a panic person, but I can't really pack that. So I have to pack it and then throw it out and then buy it again. But a good book and Tylenol are essential. And then I get the water after I get through the security check.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. Well,
and when you say
very practical.
When you say good book, does that include iPad or just actual book, paper book?
Paper book. I'm a little old school with the books. Yeah, paper book.
Yeah. And so it could include her book. Well, I don't know, you would read your own book, but Rosamaria has a book, SOS Podcasts, which I did read. And yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
You read it, okay.
I did read it, yeah, with all the, how you use the podcasts to help you acclimate to the different countries. And so let's talk about your first move to Italy. Because you're Italian American, and so Italian Americans have their own culture, and then you moved to Italy, and then how was that different? How was Italian culture different from Italian American culture?
So a lot different, a whole lot different. In New York, I felt very Italian. And I was like, yeah, I'm very Italian, but I'm a New Yorker. And then I moved to Rome. And I had been to Italy several times because my grandparents were still there as a child. So we would visit over the summer, but we would go down to Puglia. But then when I moved to Rome, I was like, I'm so not Italian. I mean, everything I'm doing is so not Italian because there are just huge differences. And I found for example, the Italian American and the Italian part of that Italian American word, in Italy, sort of died 30 to 40 years ago. So what I mean by that is that we in essence in New York spoke an Italian language that is not used in Italy anymore. And while, yes, dialects are very strong, this Italian that we were speaking that was also infiltrated with lots of American words didn't exist in Italy. Mm-hmm. So I was, I was speaking an Italian that was not really good Italian. So that was one thing. I also found that, my mother would call my grandmother, mom, and my mother was born in Italy. My father was born in Italy, so she would call her in-laws like her father-in-law and her mother-in-law, mom and dad. And then when you go to Italy, they don't do that. They did that 40 years ago. So that was like a whole other thing. Like those traditions were completely like thrown out the window.
Yeah. So what do they call them?
By their first names.
Yeah.
Really?
So they're like,
wow.
you know.
Okay.
But
and
they do still do the nonna. They do
the nonna. Yes, the nonna's there. Out of course, that's a respect thing. But like, you know, my mother-in-law, for example, like, I mean, I have trouble calling her. Like, her name is Anna Maria, so I just call her. You know what? I hardly ever call her. I'm like, hey. Sometimes I'm like, I call her Nonna too, because like as if my kids would call her. Because I feel uncomfortable. Like I feel bad calling her by her first name.
Sure. Yeah, I would feel really
weird
weird about that.
It's a little informal.
Yeah.
So, but like, you know, they don't do that in Italy. I mean, if I called her mom, she'd be like, "Are you crazy? I'm not your mother," you know? So.
Yeah,
that is something we don't do. Or like in New York, like we would spend like probably the last week of August, we would make like sauce. So like the whole house would be turned into like the backyard would be turned into like a canning facility, and we'd get tomatoes and wash them and do all this thing. So we had sauce to make it through the winter. And in Italy, like they don't do that. They don't make sauce like anymore. So all of these like very old school traditions that
really?
I grew up with not in Italy anymore.
It's like
so
it was like a time
weird.
Capsule. Yeah.
It was like it's like a time capsule. Like, and my parents were kind of stuck in the time that they had immigrated. So like they remember the 60s and what they did in the 60s. And then, so that's what we did. But then the whole rest of that country wasn't doing that anymore.
It was had like evolved into something different.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's,
okay.
That's interesting to say the least. And where in Italy did you live when you were there again?
In Rome. I lived in Rome.
Okay.
Yeah.
I lived in Vicenza for 1 year.
Okay.
In Italy.
Okay.
I didn't know you lived in Vicenza. Okay. And so did you feel like, because you didn't feel that Italian, did you just gravitate towards like the American half of your culture, or how did you reconcile that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like, I think when you live outside of your country for whatever period of time, you tend to gravitate to like, I mean, then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I'm American. And I was like, I wanted my peanut butter and I wanted my coffee. And so I wanted all those things. And I remember like, you know, I had a young daughter, a very young daughter at the time, during the period I was there. And I was like, oh, I want her to be a Girl Scout. So I tried to get into the American Girl Scouts. So I was trying to like, in essence, preserve my culture, which again it was a blend. So I tried to find outlets of things that reminded me of America. And like, you know, I wanted to make a turkey on Thanksgiving, or at least celebrate Thanksgiving, which is something that Italians don't do. So I would go out of my way to either find a restaurant or a place that would like, you know, serve turkey or something along those lines. So I in essence, my Americanness kind of came out more in Italy. And I honestly, I started to appreciate it more, I have to say too. Because I actually really like that part of me too, even though I like the Italian part, but I do also like my American part. And I think like I grew more fond of it being away from the quote unquote motherland, we'll say, you know?
That's really interesting.
I got to tell you, Rosamaria, that I am really, because it's been a while, so I'm really digging the New York accent that you still.
Okay, that I have. Okay.
I am I'm loving it because it's been a while that I hear it. So I want to talk like you now.
I know. I don't, but okay.
No, I love it.
So now that you're living in Italy, or you know, at the time living in Italy, and you know, embracing, you know, trying to embrace that and live within, you know, this new culture, as you stated, because it wasn't the same thing as being Italian American, and then now trying to preserve what you were doing, or who you were in the U.S. How did that change now moving to Germany? That culture between, trying to rediscover your Italian roots, and then now moving to Germany. How did that transition come about? And really, what are the correlations there, or if there's any?
Yeah, I mean, that I have to say was really hard because I had kind of found my peace in Italy, I would say, like my kind of equilibrium. Sure. And then it was kind of like, we're coming to Germany, which wasn't a place that I have to say I knew much about. It wasn't like a top 20 place I wanted to visit. I don't really have one of those lists, 20. But if I had a list, like it wasn't on my list because, like, I don't know, I wasn't so interested in it. I mean, I know they had cool cars and a lot of beer, but I'm not a big beer drinker, so I was like, okay. But we had to come. We weighed a lot. My husband and I really weighed the decision a lot. And then when we got here, I was like flabbergasted by the Germans because they were so different from the Italians. Like I got used to the Italians and I could understand them because I spoke the language, but they were also quite friendly and they loved family and they liked food. And then when I came to Germany, it was all about like rules. And the biggest thing I found was this like lack of like flexibility.
Yes.
There's just they're quite rigid. I mean, they're nice people. They're not as warm as the Italians, but they're so rigid. It's either yes or no. Like, and there's there's no in between. So that I found very different from the Italians who were like, we can fix it. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. And they were like, no, if it's not on the list, you're not going anywhere. You're not allowed. So I found that to be very, very challenging. And I also found in Italy, I started to also appreciate food a lot more. And I loved food in New York, but in Italy, there was just the variety and the choice. And then when I came to Germany, it was just I felt like, and I still feel like this today, like the Germans kind of just eat because they need food to survive.
Right.
Yeah. While the Italians, all you need is a couple of pieces of cheese, olives, an aperitivo, and you could the whole night that's your night. You don't need anything else. A couple of people, a few tidbits, and there is your entertainment. While here, it was just the food is just about feeding your body the nutrients it needs, and then there's no social
some nourishment
aspect around it. Yeah, it's just about nourishment, and that I miss as well too, because I was really living it up in Italy with that kind of lifestyle, and it was easy, and not so expensive either. It was just you can invite people over, and if the company's good and you have a couple of nibbles, it was all good, and that is non-existent here. But we do try to do that at home.
Oh, so they don't invite people over to their homes? Is that not a thing in Germany?
You know what? I don't know. They don't invite us. Maybe they invite each other, but they're not they're not inviting us.
You'll get it. You'll get the Germans literally have to feel you out. It takes a while for them to call you.
But it takes years, Paul. Right? Is that what you said?
It takes years. Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy.
I've been there 7 years, and it's just I don't know, maybe 3 years ago, the friends that I knew and my neighbors, by the way, starting to hey, you want to come over and you can stay.
But you were in Germany when though? You're just saying 3 years ago, and you.
Yeah, I was in Germany from 2000 to 2007.
Okay, so now, oh my gosh, that's crazy.
They're really contacting me, and they're really engaging with me, and they're really
it's been 20 years.
This long time.
Rosamaria, how long have you been in Germany? I mean, Paul was there for 7 years. How long has it been for you now?
I've been here for 8 years now. This is my 8th year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a long
You're coming up. Okay. You're coming up.
So I think they'll start inviting you soon.
Yeah, this is it.
Which city again? Remind me again. Which city are you in?
I live close to Gallenkirchen.
Gelsenkirchen.
Gelsenkirchen, yeah. 'Cause there's a big
Yep.
NATO base here. 'Cause my husband,
military base
yeah.
that's in that area.
The cool part is that like we're very close to like the Dutch border and the Belgian border.
Oh,
so like if I actually drive 15 minutes in one direction, I could be in Belgium, and if I go like 15 minutes in the other, I'm in the Netherlands. Because we're right on the border,
nice
so that's
spot.
actually really great.
Yes.
It's nice.
Yeah.
So it's great for that.
Do you travel either way often, or is it something that you have to, plan, or can you do it on a whim, a weekend, and you're like, okay, I'm going here?
We're out of here. We do travel a lot as a family because I do have 2 kids. But the German schools are very like you are not allowed to like take your kid out on a Friday and say you're going away for the long weekend. They would like call the police or something.
They're
so
like...
there's a lot of rules because of that. But I have to say, like we travel a lot to neighboring places. We're going to Finland next week to visit a friend. So we travel a lot here in Europe. But our big traveling, I have to say, is back to visit family. So we go to New York a lot to visit my family, and my husband's family is in Naples. So we go to Italy a lot as well. So those are like, whenever we have a big chunks of time, we go see family, and then in a couple day trips, we'll go to Finland, or we'll go visit someplace in the Netherlands or Spain or things along those lines. So, yeah.
Well, I can tell you, Rosamaria, you're obviously, I'm excited every time I'm hearing, because especially with our audience, we try to engage people to encourage them to travel and all this other good stuff. But hearing it and hearing the fact that, you could just live right here and, an hour down the road, you can be in another country with
that's totally convenient.
Yeah. There's also some kind of excitement with it too, as well, at least for me. But I don't know if you feel the same way too when you because it's not the same as when you're in America. Like you're in New York and you're like, okay, I'm going to New Jersey today. Well,
right.
Don't feel the same. Even though we're in a different state.
No, that's not the same at all. I would agree with you, Paul. That is not the same.
No, I mean, like, even if you were in New York and you're going to Texas, it's just...
No, I don't feel... Yeah, I agree, yeah. I mean, it's certainly cultural differences between New York and Texas, but yeah.
Well, true.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Rosamaria, can you talk to us a little bit more then about, how did you use the listening to podcasts and to help you better understand the culture and feel, less isolated, being that you're now in Germany?
Sure. So when I moved to Germany, I knew about podcasts because I used to teach journalism and I was a journalist. So I did lessons about like podcasting and what a great storytelling medium it was. But I have to say, like, I don't think I really understood the potential and what they actually could offer on say a personal level, as opposed to like just, for a journalist who's actually using it to tell a story. So when I moved to Germany, I noticed that, it's not like when you walk in Rome or in Paris when you're trying to go out for dinner or you're trying to get to work. Like people I live in a kind of rural area, I would say. People walk a lot here, but they're not really going anywhere. They're just walking around the neighborhood. So I was like, okay, I don't know where they're going, but they're walking around. So I was like, you know what? I guess I should start walking around a little bit too. So I started to walk around my neighborhood. And I said, you know what? I'm going to stick my earbuds in because I was by myself. My husband was at work. My daughter was in school at the time. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put my earbuds in and I'm going to start listening to stuff. So I kind of realized that there was like a whole lot of podcasts and that I could pick and choose the ones that I was interested in, but that I also could like get me through the certain situation that I was in at the time. So, for example, okay, I wanted to learn about what was going on in the world from a news perspective. Well, there are tons of news podcasts, but then I was like feeling kind of alone. And I really didn't have, a lot of friends because I had just moved here and I'm a little socially not the best, I have to say. Like I admit that I talk about that in my book a little bit. So I was like, who am I going to talk to? So I said, let me find a podcast that could tell me, you know what, that like making friends or that like about friendship. And then I found something on Life Kit from NPR that was like, you know, making friends in your late 30s, early 40s is like the hardest thing possible because you're picky and you're choosy. So I was like, oh, that's me, you know?
This is true.
So
Yeah, people are established and
yeah, so it's hard. So I would basically started finding podcasts to like help me through my situations. And then I ended up getting pregnant and having a second child in Germany. And then I started listening to pregnancy podcasts about like what I should be doing. But then I also started using them for travel reasons. So what German Christmas markets am I supposed to go to? Because there's so many, and I have no idea.
Markets.
Yes. So I was like, well, let me find a podcast that could tell me like which ones I need to hit if I'm at least in my area per se, or if I'm going to travel. So I started using podcasts kind of like my Google search engine and like sort of fitting into these like needs in my life. And that's how it kind of grew. And I was like, wow, this is like, and it's great because I had my own little library. And then if I didn't like somebody's voice, I was like, oh, you're out of here, you know, and it's not personal.
Yeah, switch it up.
Just delete her from my library or delete him from my library. So,
interesting.
So I found it.
Well,
like,
no,
really
I love that because there are so many podcasts that can be used in that way and like are applicable to everyday life situations. So I think that's I wouldn't have thought to use them that way. Like I'm usually using them for information, not like more for entertainment, not for personal like. Yeah, no, that's great.
Well, like navigating life. I mean, especially if you're in some place that you're not native to. Yeah, that's a very interesting concept.
No, that's
because I can imagine feeling isolated because you're in a rural area, right? Like there's not much around.
I mean, there's bison like down the block. So I was like, and I'm from New York, so I was like, I thought, you know, Rome is a big city, but it's not New York. But then when I came here, I was like, where am I? Like, what am I doing here?
Bison.
There's bison. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I live in Texas and I don't have bison.
No.
Where you would think you would see that all the time, but no, I mean.
But so I read in your book that you're staying in Germany though. So was that like a shock to you to be like, oh, because you were wanting to go back to Italy or at least the United States, but now you're going to stay in Germany?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to say like forever because that's kind of scary. That scares me. But, you know, my husband got a change of position and he retired from the military and he got an offer that he couldn't that was really good for our family. So we decided to take it. And then I found my way with work. So, and my kids are happy. So we're like, maybe we should stay. But it's scary to think that like we're going to stay. In Germany, of all places, you know?
Well, so your son was born in Germany. That's all he knows, right? Is German
he loves it
stuff,
here.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you like plan to integrate your Italian culture and your husband's Italian culture with the German culture that you're in? You know, like to try to have, I guess, both or more Italian? I don't know. Like what is your take on that?
I mean, I have to say that like, Germany is like a lot of like I would say the cultural things that we do or that we celebrate are related to like, I would say our Catholic tradition. So we're talking about Christmas and Easter. And Germany is also a very heavily Catholic country. So a lot of their holidays are sort of Catholic related. So they do a big thing for Christmas. They really celebrate Christmas a lot here. Even I was actually surprised by how much they celebrate Christmas and how they really get things decked out. Very American.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So that also has helped. But then, you know, they have their own other, like they care about like St. Martin, which is he's a big deal here. I don't know why he's a big deal, but they really like him. He's got a horse and a lantern. And there's fire, so
I don't know that one.
There's a big celebration, so
wow.
And the Renaissance, they celebrate the Renaissance there.
They do a lot of like these Richard fests. Yes, they do a lot of those. So we've been able to sort of integrate these religious holidays that we already celebrate,
Okay.
and kind of do a mix of everything. So it's a little bit of Italian. And I'm kind of pushing for my American stuff because I want them to, like, you know.
So how often do you and your family do get out to see your extended family back here in the States?
We spent our summer in New York, so we were there in July for like 3 weeks. We'll go to Italy for Christmas, so it's at least once or twice a year that we're going.
Okay.
If we do one holiday in one place and one holiday in another. Although my kids keep
Nice.
asking, like, they want to stay home for Christmas, like they want to stay in Germany. I'm like, you want to stay in Germany?
Wow.
They're like, yeah, we want to stay here. You know.
That'll
Closer to
shake
Santa
things
Claus.
up.
You're closer
Yeah.
to Santa Claus there.
I think so. Yeah, exactly.
But I mean,
That's
you
funny.
have a good problem to have. It's not like, you know what I mean? Like, you have all these options, and all these options that you're mentioning, these are options that Americans pay a crap load of money to go. For example, Italy, which is a couple hours down the road from where you're at now, kind of thing. Or and I was just, with the question that Trisha just asked, I was curious to wonder if the American family wanting to travel to see you more so than you going to see them, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Does that happen a lot as well?
Yeah, I mean, they come, but I have to say we go more than they come. I mean, I also think that, like, you know, it also, when your parents get a little bit older, so it becomes harder for them to travel.
Right.
But I
Sure.
do have siblings. My sister has come several times.
Well, that will do it for us here for Rhythm in Rome. And we hope you enjoyed our discussion here today with Rosamaria and of her 3 cultures that we discussed today. We want to remind you to like, subscribe, or comment down below. We would love to hear what you thought of this show or any of our other shows. Also, we want to remind you of our Passport Knuckle Ride, our pocket guide that just recently came out this summer. We're so excited to be able to offer that for you. And we certainly want you to give your feedback on that as well. Please visit us at www.rhythminrome.com to get your information, as well as being able to buy us a cup of coffee. Hey, if you like what you see and hear, why don't you let us know about it and give us some love there? We'd love to be able to celebrate you on that too, and to say thank you. So I think that's going to do it for us, guys. It was great to speak to you.
It was excellent.
And absolutely. And we'll see you
Until next time. Yeah.
This is